All right, hey everybody, welcome to episode 8 of the RI Amateur Series presented by GolfNewsRI. I'm Joe Calabro. Thanks to everyone for tuning in. We're almost at 10 episodes, not quite. And joining me today, super honored to have a Rhode Island legend with me, Paul Quigley. Paul, thanks so much for taking some time before your practice round this afternoon.
Thank you very much. Great to be here. Appreciate it.
Awesome. So yeah, Paul's playing a practice round this afternoon with Max Jackson. You may have heard of him. We're actually at Kirkbride, high above the 18th green. And so we'll be out on the course soon. So let's get right into it. It's awesome to have you on. Obviously, awesome to see you still playing competitively. But you've done so much in your career. Nine stroke play titles, including here in 1995. I think the course looked a lot different in '95.
Sure did.
But 3 state amateur titles, a couple of senior titles. For you, what is your best golf memory or favorite golf memory? I know there's a lot, but is there one or two that it doesn't necessarily have to be one that you necessarily want? It could be just anything golf in general. But what would you say is your best golf memory?
Well, there's a couple. I always really cherish the fact that my son Brett and I won the state floorball. So I mean, it was a team event, and we won it 1 year at match play and 1 year at medal play. I think they might have been consecutive years. I'm not sure. So that stands out well for me. I've also enjoyed watching the success my brother Dana has had, and so it's kind of a family affair. You can't do it without a support system. I've had a very strong support system, and I think the whole family has when it comes to golf.
So now your family, the Quigleys, obviously you mentioned Dana and Brett, who's still playing well on the Champions Tour, or the PGA Champions, whatever they call it now. But you guys are one of, if not the royal family of golf, in Rhode Island. I don't want to disrespect anybody else, but you're up there anyways. Can you? I mean, maybe this is you look back on it years later, but do you have a sense of what the Quigleys mean to Rhode Island golf? Do you ever think about that at all?
As I get older, yes. You become a little less competitive, so maybe you have a little more time. I'm retired. You have a little more time to reflect. And the fact that Dana had such success on the Champions Tour, I guess what they call it now, and Brett had success on the big tour and now on the Champions Tour. I reflect back on that, and it is an accomplishment. I'm proud. I kid everybody. If you want to make Dana and Brett really mad, right?
Yeah.
I tell everyone. I said my claim to fame is that I taught both Brett and Dana how to play golf, and neither will admit it, and they won't. Brett never had a lesson other than, Dad, what does it look like? Or Dana, what does it look like? So basically we were his teachers when he needed it, and he didn't need it very often. And Dana is 2 years younger. He's my little brother, and he'll tell you that he would say if Paulie was a bank robber, I would have been a bank robber. We were very close, still are, and he did everything that I did. He was sometimes a pain in the neck, but always a good brother.
Absolutely. Now, you're playing this year's RI Amateur. You tee off on Monday at 8. I wrote it down to 8:40. It's early, late, whatever it is. 8:40 a.m. I think on Monday. But
yes,
for you, for somebody that's done everything, what keeps you going at this stage of the game? Is it just the love of the game? Is it love of competition?
It's the love of competition. Where I'd rather be today, right now. Not that it's great being interviewed by you. I'd rather be at Crestwood, trying to qualify for the U.S. Amateur. Now I know that's a pie in the sky. Walk 36 holes. The kids are so long now that if they let me play their drives, I'd have a chance. I'm okay with the wedge and the short game, but no, it's without a question, it's the competition. Just to get out there and compete. Like you said, I've won a bunch of senior titles now, and I won a senior. I won the North-South Super Senior. I don't know, about 10 years ago. I went down to Pinehurst,
Yeah.
and I won a tournament. I played in the Florida State Golf Association this year for the first time. I played in the Palm Beach County. You know, we spend the winters in Florida.
Mhm.
So the results, believe me, are secondary. The primary thing is the competition. You know, being fit, being mentally tough enough to compete is what I love, and I've loved it from I picked up a golf club when I was 16 years old, and since then, that's what it's all for me. It's the competition, it's the fight.
You mentioned but first of all, you mentioned a bunch of tournaments that are actually going on as we speak. As you mentioned, the U.S. Amateur Qualifiers at Crestwood, and that's going on right now. You can find the live scoring, or a link to the live scoring anyway, on GolfNewsRI.com. We also have, there's a couple of Rhode Islanders playing in the Junior North-South Amateur down at Pinehurst.
Really?
Vinny and Gianna Papa are about to be freshmen in high school.
Uh-huh.
They're already one of the best players
Wow.
in the state. And then Harry Dessel, who is a senior at Moses Brown, he's
I know
playing
that.
down
Yeah,
there.
is he at Rhode Island Country Club?
I believe so. I believe
Yes,
that's correct.
I
yes.
know. I recognize that name.
Yeah. So nothing off topic, but there you brought them up, and it's funny that these are all tournaments that I'm following
Yeah.
as we speak. So I figured I'd just give a shout out to those guys, and again we'll have recaps of all that stuff once the final putt drops. You mentioned some of the players these days, and if you use their drives, you'd be okay. So I was going to ask you this later on, but we can get to it now. But when you look at the kids today playing, whether it's the kid you're playing a practice tournament today, Max Jackson, who's trying to qualify, people have been saying for a couple of years that he's going to be a phenom, and he's on pace to be won the Pawtucket Club Championship at 14 years old, which is no small thing. That's a tough place to play. And won a state title, as we reported, and he just won the World Series of Junior Golf at Triggs. But not just him, but all these kids that you see coming up, no matter where, what age range is, whatever you want to call it. But what do you see from these kids? How are they so good at such an early age?
Well, everything has changed in golf.
Yeah.
When I started, like I said, I was 16 years old. I had a lot of catching up to do. Because I played baseball and a whole bunch of other sports before that. But once I picked up a golf club, I never played any other sport, basically. Back in the very old days, and I'm 76 years old, so this is going back a long time. The equipment was much different. It wasn't wooden shafts, but it was persimmon drivers and fairway woods,
right.
and you didn't have a choice really of shafts. It was a medium shaft or a stiff shaft, and you might find an X shaft somewhere. There were basically no left-handers playing hardly at all, because there wasn't any equipment there. So, and then the game, as the equipment changed, the game changed. The kids started paying attention to nutrition, to getting in shape, to staying in shape.
Was that a lot because of they saw what Tiger was doing? Do you feel like that was?
I think it started before Tiger, but yes, Tiger was a huge influence on every aspect of the game, really. But Gary Player was probably the first one that recognized fitness, and he did that out of necessity, in my opinion. Because he was a small guy, and he had to compete with those guys. All the travel and everything that they did, and he was from South Africa, so it made it tougher. So he figured out that he had to be in better shape than anybody. And I think he was, he started that. Way back when. If we can divert for just a second, I watched a exhibition. I think it was 1970. It was either 1970 or 1971. I had just gotten out of the Army, and Gary Player, and I believe it was Tony Lima, played against Ronnie Quinn and Norm Lutz, two legends in Rhode Island golf. And they were at Metacomet. They were hitting balls, and Gary Player, who's a showman anyways, we all know that, he goes up to Ronnie Quinn, and you don't know, you never saw Ronnie play. He was
I've heard of
He was
him, to be
great,
fair, but I never
believe
saw
me.
him play. Obviously.
But he had he loved to party. He loved a good time.
Yeah.
But he had a backswing that was his shoulder turn, and Gary Player went up to him in front of, I don't know, 500, 600 people, maybe 1,000. He says, that shoulder turn, I would give $100,000 to have your shoulder. Now that was when 100,000
was really something.
Millions, right?
Yeah. It's
To
still
have
a
your-
lot, to be
To
fair.
have
but-
your shoulder turn.
Yeah.
But then he went and he rubbed Ronnie. Ronnie was a little overweight. He rubbed his belly. He said, but that, no good. You can't, and you know, that just showed the player's mindset.
Yeah.
So he was probably the first one, and then I think Tiger took it to a whole nother level.
So now fast forward to today's kids that we were talking about. They all do that now. That's all. I was just downstairs briefly before coming up here, and there's other kids working out in the locker room. Some of our younger members,
Well,
not
and-
working a lot in the gym. Excuse me, obviously, but
You know, golf now.
now everybody's doing that. So it's cool. That's a cool story, and you see the evolution of it, and that
see the
brings us
evolution.
back to today.
And you know, golf wasn't really considered a sport back then. It was a game, you know, and you could. It
was a hobby.
It was
Right.
a hobby. There wasn't a lot of money in it, but as soon as Tiger came along, you know, Palmer did it the first time. He pumped it up and he got it recognized.
Yep.
And then what Tiger did, he just took it to another level. And all of a sudden, these kids are athletes now, and they're strong and they're lifting weights and they're working on speed, and you know, that's how it's changed.
Absolutely. This is the our Amateur Series, episode 8, here with Paul Quigley, live at Kirkbride Country Club, host of the 2021 Rhode Island Amateur, which starts next Monday, July 12th, and goes through the 17th. Hopefully people can come down and watch. You, as far as playing this year in the amateur, you know, what's kind of your strategy? What's your thought process going into it? I mean, you
Some would say to stand up for 36 holes.
Stand up for
but no, you know, it's
come on, you're still a pretty good player.
It's yeah, it's
You're
funny.
not a nobody.
I lost in the state amateur in the finals the first time in 1974 at Kirkbride Country Club.
Oh,
Leo,
wow.
how about that? Leo, so I don't know how many years ago it is. 74. What is that? 47 years?
I think so. Yeah.
Oof.
So that's too much math for me. I'm a writer.
Sorry, I brought
I'm
that
just-
down. But yeah, so I mean, I still think I could qualify for match play. Okay, so that's the goal.
Yep.
Will it happen? We'll see. I know that a few things have to happen. I've got to drive it in the fairway, which is normally not a problem for me,
Mm-hmm.
and I've got to putt well. If I can do those two things, I think I can qualify for match play.
That'd be a heck of a story. Then match play, as
Who knows?
anyone knows in golf, it doesn't matter.
Exactly.
You know, anybody can beat anybody.
Exactly.
Crazy things have happened. We talked about a little bit before we went live about Kirkbride and the last time you were here, and you said you were here a couple years ago. I think you said, what, the senior amateur? You said
Yeah, I'm not sure what
like that.
tournament
You
it
said you were
was.
here a couple years ago. You played here.
Yeah.
Obviously, the course has changed a lot from, you know, your match in '74, and then obviously you won the stroke play in '95 here. But what are your general thoughts on Kirkbride with the course?
Well, the last time I played it, I was very, very impressed. And I told, what is the fellow, Richards, the greenskeeper?
Yeah, Mark Richards. He's
Mark
not here anymore,
Richards.
but yes.
And he said he wanted to do it one more year, I think, and then he was going to retire. Did he retire last year?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Right. Last year was his last year.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I was here probably 2 years ago.
Right.
And I thought that Kirkbride was the top 1 or 2 or 3 conditioned golf course in the state that I had played that year. I mean, it's unbelievable. When we played, Dana and I, my brother and I used to play up here because the one year we played up here, the owner gave us his name was Church, I believe. I don't know if he was the first owner here, but we had a friend that was a relative, and so he gave us the kids. We were kids, you know, in college. We came up here, and we joked around that when you got here, you had to change your irons because it was all rock, and you didn't want to bring a new set of irons up. You were going to ding them all up, and I mean, this place has changed. I can't think of another golf course in the state that has improved as much as Kirkbride has in the conditioning.
That says something, because there's a lot of great,
You're
a lot
right.
of great golf courses in the state.
But it's really good, really good. And I know they've redone some greens. At that time, when I talked with Mark, he said they had redone like 4 or 5 greens.
I think we're like 5 or 6.
And
they
had a
now,
couple more they wanted to do or something. So
yeah.
I don't know what the tally stands now, but it's phenomenal, the work they've done.
Yeah, I think we're at, well, since I've been here, I've been here my whole life, most of my life. I think we're at like 5 or 6 screens that they've redone now. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about, obviously, your son Brett playing at the Champions Tour, having a good year, relatively good year, competing. You know, what's that like watching him play? Do you still get joy out of watching him, or?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, it
must be great to see him still playing on TV once in a while.
It was unfortunate that he hurt his leg, because he had his best year in 06 and 07, and then in 08 he had a stress fracture in his shin, and he played for 2 or 3 years with it, which he shouldn't have done. But it's hard not to play when you're playing.
Well, these guys are all competitors, right?
Right, exactly. So at any rate, it ended up 8 or 9 years without playing really competitively. That's healed to a big extent, and so he can get out there again. So that's the good thing. We didn't know if he was going to play competitively again, and then the timing between him being 50. Turning 50 and getting some relief on his leg, it's very gratifying. Yeah, Dana and I are both proud of him.
Yeah, we covered the PGA Tour, the Champions Tour a little bit, obviously, with both Brett and Billy Andrade playing, and Brad Faxon once in a while, and so we write about them a little bit. We try to follow their rounds as best as possible, and it's always fun to see them. Always fun to see them competing. And sometimes, a couple of times this year, Billy and Brett have ended up like tied.
Yes.
At the end, I'm like, oh, what a coincidence. The only 2 rounders in the field, and they're tied.
Yeah, exactly. I think they
rounders stick together.
Tied for 5th, maybe
whatever it was. One of the tournaments
they finished. A couple of
finished,
majors ago, maybe, or something like that.
One of the tournaments they finished, like 2 rounders in the field, they end up tied together. Yeah. That's like a Rhode Island thing, like none other. What we talked a little about these younger players coming up, and what advice would you give them about guys that are really trying to make it? Obviously, these kids all have aspirations these days.
The advice that I would give young guys is, don't make golf your only focus. Now, that you're probably saying, well, that's a crazy thing to say, but I'll give an example, and it's changed. I know it's changed, but when Brett was in high school, I mean, after Labor Day, he put down the clubs, and he played the basketball, and then he ran some cross country, things to keep in shape, and he didn't pick up the clubs again until February vacation. Oh, wow. So Faxon was the same way. They needed time away from golf. And the only thing I see with the young kids and how they're developed and how ready they are at a much earlier age is the burnout factor. And are they going to be able to continue that through high school? Was no problem. I've always said, in any sport in high school, you can get by and be a top guy with talent alone. And then after that, when you get to the next level, college, then everybody on that team has got talent. Now you're competing, you ratchet it up, you're competing against much better players. But the only thing I wonder about is the kids at 11 and 12 and 13 giving up all other sports, just specializing in golf. It's like it might be too much, and I'd worry about burnout. In a different aspect, it's the same as these kids now. You got kids that are concentrating on pitching. Let's say they're a pitcher, 11 years old, and they're throwing curves and they're doing this and that. Some of them got Tommy John surgery before they're even out of high school.
Imagine that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's the same thing. Don't focus on it for 12 months a year, 24 hours a day. Get away from it. You're not going to lose it. It'll be there. And it it gives you a chance to refresh your mind and your body.
We couple more things, then we'll get you out of here, because I know you want to warm up and putt and things. We talked a lot about the amateur and younger players and stuff. In Rhode Island, though, what, and like I said, and you've seen it all and done it all. What do you think the state of amateur golf is in Rhode Island? I mean, is it a good place? Is it a tough place?
I think it's really pretty strong.
Yep.
Now, I'm not here. We get back from Florida May 1st, so I miss some of that season, and of course we had the COVID thing. So who the heck knows if I missed anything? I often wonder, though, why in Rhode Island why they don't have the season in the fall instead of the spring. Well, I think Mass has for a long while had it in the fall.
Yeah,
and
they still do.
It makes sense.
They still have the high school season.
The weather's better. The golf courses are in better shape than you are trying to play in April in Rhode Island, Right. But I think overall, the junior golf and the golf in Rhode Island is in good shape. We've been very lucky. We had my brother Dana was really the first guy from Rhode Island that played the tour.
Yep.
And then you had Faxon.
Yeah.
And then you had Andrew. And then you had Brett.
Yeah.
And
don't sell yourself short.
Nah, but I mean guys that have gone further.
I understand, but
Eddie
don't sell yourself short.
Pat Sheehan, Rodney Butcher. I'll probably forget some guys.
Right.
But the thing is, Faxon will tell you. He saw, Fax used to caddy for me when he was 13 years old. So he's known our family, and he'll tell you that he watched Dana, and Dana had mediocre success on the big tour, played 4 years, but Faxon said, you know what? He played a lot of rounds with Dana. Growing up, he said, Dana can do it, I can do it. And it flows down. Billy looked at Fax, he goes, that's not, I'll tell you a great story about Billy.
Yeah.
Fax and Billy are both playing at Pleasant Valley.
Yep.
Billy's in college, they gave him an exemption. So they're walking down, it's Wednesday or Tuesday, one of the Tuesday probably. They're walking down to the practice tee. Faxon, and so there's Ray Floyd and there's Lanny Watkins, okay?
Yep.
And there's a spot open. So they get the golf balls, and Fax, he's showing Billy around, right? Now they were good friends. He goes, Billy, come on, we'll hit down here. Billy goes, no, he goes, I'm gonna hit right there, between Floyd and Lanny. He goes, Billy said, these guys don't hit it any better than I do. Now, he was in college. So, I mean, he had that confidence. So now along comes Brett. He goes, he played a bunch of rounds with Fax, and he goes, if they can do it, I can do it. So hopefully, the young kids, now we've had a lull.
Right.
Since, I guess, has anyone played the tour since Brett? Well, you've had Adamonis with some success.
He's on the contrary tour.
He's on the fringes, but a good player. So hopefully these guys see that it can be done. These guys aren't any better than I am, and with that in mind, if you work at it and get a few breaks, you can do it.
And now, I mean, we have kids. Just to expound on that point, we have kids from Rhode Island that are playing at big time colleges. You have Patrick Welch, who's from here. He's playing. He's playing Oklahoma.
Yeah.
You have Will Dixon, just finished 4 years at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
You have Davis Chatfield, who's Juan Moisa member.
Dame, right?
He's at Notre Dame. He just finished 5th at the Northeast Amateur.
Yeah.
He almost won the thing. If it wasn't for a 7 on the second hole, he put his second shot out of bounds. But we're kind of seeing it a little bit with these kids coming from here to go play it
And
at
all-
high level colleges. That never happened. Brad Faxon went to, I mean, Billy Andrew went to Wake Forest, so fair enough. But
Right.
Faxon went to Furman, which no one even no one's ever heard of that before.
Faxon never
before then. So.
Faxon didn't get a full ride to college.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, but not many people do. He went down there and they recruited him at Furman, and they offered him about a half scholarship, and he took it because then he made the team. He was number one, and then he increased it to a full ride.
Yeah.
Now, Brett got a full ride to South Carolina, University of South Carolina. But you know, all we need is one of these guys that you just mentioned to get out on tour, if that's what they want.
Right.
Some guys, like I said, after college they burn out. They say, I've had enough. I don't want to do it. I don't want to travel. I don't want to. But all you need is one of these guys to play on tour, and now you've got all these young kids that have seen them play and played with them say, hey, you know what? Joe's not any better than I am.
Right.
He can do it, I can do it. And I think that's what helps it along. And we've been very fortunate in this little state to have all those guys play on tour.
Absolutely. Hopefully some of these kids can continue to progress and play, and like you said, not burn themselves out. I thought that was
It's
a fascinating
the future
point.
of golf is
Yeah.
the kids, so you got to root for. If you love golf, you got to root for the kids.
Absolutely, and there's actually a bunch of high school kids playing in the RA Amateur next week. Max Jackson, Ricky Angeli, Ben Sapovitz, Harry Dessel is playing.
Yeah.
They're all high schoolers, and they qualify for the amateur. Now Max gets an exemption because he won the state title
Yep.
for high school, so he gets an exemption, but he probably would qualify anyway. I'm guessing.
Sure.
So
Yeah.
that's that'll be interesting to see. That's one of the storylines I'm looking forward to following. Lastly, so you can get out of here and go practice. I've asked everybody this. Tommy says this. Tommy McCormick said there's like 30 to 40 guys that could win this thing. Who do you like as the favorite? What do you think? You've seen all these guys.
The guy that's putting the best next week.
Yeah, I did. Yeah. Drive for show, putt for dough, right?
Well,
That's what they say. No
we've
truer
always
words
said
than
it. You
I
look
spoke.
at the PGA Tour, and you watch those guys hit balls and warm up, and you tell me who's going to win.
They're
You
all the
can't.
same.
They all hit the ball dead in the middle of the face. I mean, we've got. I would say there's probably, what did Tommy say? 30? Or
Tommy said there's probably 30 to 40 guys.
he was being nice.
Really?
Yeah, in my opinion,
Yeah.
I think there's probably max 20 guys.
That can
Yeah,
win. Yep.
absolutely. Because number one, it's a long grind, and after the qualifying, you're playing 2 matches every day, other than a rain out or something like that.
Right.
I would say there might be 20 guys that can win it.
That's still a pretty good number, though. When
It's a good number.
when you consider 32 make it the match play, 20 of those 32, in theory, have a chance to win it. So that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But listen, I'm gonna let you get out of here and go practice, warm up, hit some putts. You gotta
All right,
putt good,
Joe.
right? It's a one.
Gotta roll
if
that
If your
ball.
putter gets hot,
The
you never
putter
know.
gotta get hot. Absolutely.
But anyway, thanks so much for coming on. I really appreciate it, and good luck next week at the amateur.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Great to talk to you.
Yep,
That was
you bet.
Paul Quigley. This has been episode 8 of the RA Amateur Series. Stay tuned for later this week for further announcements on other episodes coming up. We have a few more guys that we're looking to get, and who knows? If we get to 10, maybe we'll get to 15. Who the heck knows? But thanks everybody for tuning in. Hope you enjoy the rest of your Tuesday, and we will talk to you throughout the day. Remember, we have the U.S. Amateur Qualifier at Crestwood. That'll be wrapping up within the next few hours, I would guess. And then we have the North-South Junior Amateur down at Pinehurst that we're following as well. So thanks everybody for tuning in, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.